Western Illinois head coach Joe Davis, the team coming off a Friday night loss against nationally ranked FBS opponent Illinois. Back in action this Friday. Another Big Ten opponent, Northwestern, is on the schedule. Big Ten Network, 6:30 Central. Coach, thoughts on your team? Then we'll go to some questions.
Very excited about our team still. I mean, University of Illinois got bang for their buck. I mean, however many millions of dollars are invested in their team, it certainly showed. They're big, they're fast, they're physical, they're well paid, and as much work and progress and improvement we've made as a program, that's just not where we're at from a competitive standpoint to go against a team and a roster like that. So we'll find the positives. We found the positives from that game that we'll try to take away, and we'll move on to another Power Four opponent this week. So our guys are resilient. They've practiced hard. They understand the challenges in front of them, and we'll look to make some big improvements as a football program this week.
Thanks, Coach. We got some questions. I know Barry's with us. Barry, whatever you got, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Hey, good morning, Barry.
Good morning. I wanted to ask you first of all about playing back-to-back Fridays. Is that a little bit easier on the front end of your schedule rather than plopped into the middle of your schedule, do you feel?
Yeah, I don't know that it's easier or not. I honestly I don't have a good reply to your question. I do believe that great football teams get into a routine throughout the season, and certainly when it comes to academics and study tables and practices and weightlifting and things like that. I think any coach would tell you you'd like to play on the same day, every single week, just so you can start that routine. So the back-to-back Fridays, as I've said before, we're just a little bit at the mercy of the TV contracts and things like that happen within the Big Ten. And so I don't know that it's a positive or a negative, but it's just simply our schedule, and we're making the best of it here early on.
You mentioned positives, and obviously your pass rush was one of those, getting 3 sacks against an FBS team. What did you take away from your defensive effort on Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, I just, the score got away so quickly, I think the mismatches, especially within the front seven on both sides, were pretty apparent to, any novice football fan watching that game. But to your point, no, absolutely. And we feel like we have some dynamic pass rushers. I've mentioned DJ Taylor in calls before. He was hurt for a good chunk of the season last year. We have him back. He blocks a field goal. He has a couple of hurries. Jalen Nicholas is a true freshman that has just really been impressive to us here in the spring and the summer. We got him at the mid-year, just a big, long, twitchy edge rusher that I anticipate being a very productive player in the OVC when it comes around to play those games. And Peyton Bradford doesn't maybe possess that high level athleticism of the two guys I mentioned, but has a motor that's unmatched and kind of flew around. So, and then the interior guys, we've been a little bit nicked up there, and Payne Miller comes in as a redshirt freshman and gets a sack, does a nice job. David Dunston was a transfer defensive end that we've moved inside that picked up a half sack. So, all those guys getting involved against a really, really good offensive line and a veteran quarterback, I think is going to pay big dividends for us as the season progresses.
What more would you like to see out of your run game?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. It's just not, you just can't win football games running the football as poorly as we did. And we knew it was going to be a challenge to run the football. We tried to challenge them with some unique formations and things early to try to get, a little bit of a leverage or space advantage, but just didn't succeed. And the scheme coupled with the size and physicality and the money invested on their defensive and offensive lines. I mean, there's millions of dollars invested in those players. Just it proved to be too big of a task for us for 4 quarters. And then, obviously you get down early and how patient do you stay with the run game are all challenges that coaches go through in those type of games, and trying to be patient with that run game. But listen, our offensive line, I still believe at the FCS level remains a strength for us. We still remain very excited about the running back room and what those guys can produce for us this year. And so, as I've told, our fans, our alumni, our campus, our community here, there's just gonna have to be a little bit of patience here early in the season, as these first 2 games are they're very difficult, I think, for any FCS team to start their seasons with.
Speaking of the O-line, I wanted to ask you, last year at this time, you and I talked about how you're a little bit unsettled and you tried a bunch of different combinations. Do you feel more settled there now with the 5 that you have, or will there be some adjustments, do you feel?
Yeah, I think it's an evolution. One of the reasons we had so much success on offense last year is that we were able to start the same 5 offensive linemen, I think, for the last 7 games of the season, maybe 8 games of the season consecutively. I mean, through conference play, we had a pretty consistent group. I think any coach would tell you that consistency and continuity becomes a big positive from week to week. So yeah, I think there's still some moving parts in there to figure out, who the best 5 are and how do we complement it. We still feel really good about the depth on the offensive line. It's just about now kind of coming together and what pieces, fit to the puzzle the best here moving forward.
One of the highlights offensively for you guys, obviously, was Deari Davis's catch that wound up on Sports Center. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about Deari's contributions and just what that play meant for you guys offensively.
Yeah, it was a heck of a play. Ends up in the top 10 Sports Center plays. Really cool. Story for Deari. I hope that productivity and positivity in that young man's life continues. He's been through a rough stretch here personally this summer and into fall camp, had some injury stuff going on. But since we brought Deari in when I was hired, he's been absolutely if not the fastest, one of the fastest and most dynamic athletes on our team. I mean, he continually in testing. He runs as well as any power forward player. He's dynamic. He's got really, really good ball skills. And last year you saw flashes of it. I mean, he averaged almost 20 yards a catch, kind of serving in various roles, and wide receiver. The challenge for Deari is just being able to stay in the lineup and stay healthy. We last year would have a couple weeks of glimpses of Deari where you'd see those big plays, and then, he was nicked up for a couple weeks and we'd get him back and then he'd be nicked up again. So, and that's not a knock on the young man. It's just sort of living the football life a little bit. So having Deari healthy and getting him, 30, 40 snaps Friday night was a big positive, and our anticipation is that he'll be a huge part of our offense moving forward this fall.
Great. Thank you so much, Coach.
You're welcome, Barry.
Coach, you talked about, improving and learning from the game. How quickly do people put the negatives behind them, though? Like, this didn't go well, like, we're going to get better, but just forget about that. Let's move on to the next game. And it could be different with different people, but is that a quick process for most players?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it varies. It's certainly the anticipation of every coach and athlete and competitor that good or bad, you move on to the next play. And I think that's preached since you were probably in Little League football. I know I've said to the team, it's something I struggle with, coming off a tough loss where we maybe missed some opportunities or didn't take advantage of some opportunities, to put that to bed, I think is easier said than done. But you got to learn from it. You got to grow from it. As competitors, we certainly have to move on. We don't have a choice. We're going to play another team this year whose roster is worth millions. They played at Northwestern on Friday. Has paid their roster into the millions of dollars here to play football this fall, and so it'll be a monumental task. Very, very well coached team, and we got to move on. We got to get better, and that'll be the expectation here moving forward.
Coach, appreciate your time as always. Best of luck Friday night. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks so much, Kyle.